All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. By the way, to Clem Semple, yes, your prediction came true. It is a little bit too chilly for the chest hair at the moment. Where's my shitty live stream? Love it. There's a lot of crazy shit going on right now. The breaking news, of course, is that martial law has been declared in South Korea. I'm kind of skeptical of the explanation being given by the current reigning government there, which tends more towards the Western Bloc. Just because you oppose the Eastern Bloc, and I certainly do, and communism in general, does not necessarily mean that any particular measure taken by a Western government is proper. Just like I oppose Islamofascism. That doesn't mean that I support the Patriot Act, for example. We'll be talking about the idea of annexing Canada, actually. I happen to support this. I'll give various reasons why. We're going to do a redux of the Hunter Biden pardon. Sorry, I almost flubbed up there real bad. And it's harder on live streams. When you're pre-recording a video, of course, if you make a big mistake, you can always just re-record the video. Live streaming is a little bit different. We'll just do a redux of that. Judge enforces subpoena against ActBlue, opening new front in Democrat fundraising probe. We'll talk about Bruce Willis being used by his ghoulish surroundings to, basically grift off of his name. Although I think he did say before he was a total potato, I think he said that it was okay to do so. It's still a little bit ghoulish, dude. Homo zuluensis, possible new ancient human species uncovered by researchers. This is over in Asia, so we'll be talking about that. So we got some science news as well. Thank God your facial hair is coming back. You look like a child without it. It's scary. I'm more comfortable with the satanic look. Yeah, I like my goatee. I'm still going to shave all this fucking stubble and shit off, though. Several people have said they like the look when it's just all stubbly, but the problem is maintaining that is almost impossible. I'm not going to invest in one of those guard razors that lets you have just like the 5 o'clock shadow all the time. We be clanking. A lot of emojis from Last Beacon over on Rumble. It's taking advantage of the fact that I don't moderate chat unless somebody is outright defaming or making terroristic threats. You best be paying me money for all those emojis, boy. Yeah. I'm going to segue into this a little bit. Just give me a second here, though. I think there was one other news topic that I didn't archive for some reason. I'll just hold it over till tomorrow. That's fine. Sidebook VR. Hi, I'm from South Korea. Yeah, there's some crazy shits going on over there. Nick Ray, so excited. Didn't realize you and Andrew Wilson were going to debate. Can't wait for it and looking forward to the debate topic, whatever it is. Yes, I believe that is tomorrow. Hypocrite has to bump that to the top, though, because I am terrible with dates. I am terrible with times. I'm especially terrible with time zones. So, yeah, I have some problems when it comes to those sorts of things. Trust me, I need more chems. I dose myself up to the eyeballs every single day. I got mushroom pills. I've got whatever those other pills are. Field of Greens, random caffeine. Yeah, Augustus, we'll talk about that first, about South Korea. Yeah, Last Beacon is still spamming. You better be paying me well. I'm going to charge you $1 for every random emoji spam that you made. Otherwise, you'll get banned. I'm just joking. You know that I love you. Last Beacon is one of the regs on the channel, official clankster. Right now, he's not clanking, though. He's posting Trump heads and cats and weird shit like that. Let's see. Toff Atomicals. Trump should go full Hitler. I don't think that we need him to go full Hitler. I think we need him to go full Thomas Jefferson or maybe Andrew Jackson. Music and fiction. I lived in Korea for nearly a decade. The martial law thing usually happens about every 10 to 15 years. This is not unusual and a power play. I expect it will die down in 2 weeks like last time. Yes, it's entirely possible. That slightly lessens the concern. but it's still concerning. South Korean president declares emergency martial law. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared, and I'm probably mispronouncing that and butchering it, my apologies, declared martial law in an unannounced late-night TV address, accusing the country's main opposition party of sympathizing with North Korea and anti-state activities. Let me parse this apart. It's possible that there's some sort of crazy shit going on behind the curtain and that there's like a North Korean coup attempt or something like that. But I doubt it. I don't think that's what's happening. I think it literally is, as Music and Fiction stated, a power play. And again, keep in mind, like, I am extremely anti-communistic. You may have noticed this if you've watched the channel for more than a day or two. That doesn't mean that anyone who stresses anti-communism, that any proposal that they happen to make in the expedience of defeating communism or preventing it or something is necessarily a good idea. It's sort of like Ted Haggard or something like that. You remember that televangelist who would tell people they shouldn't use drugs, and then he was found with an 18-year-old male hooker in a hotel room smoking crack or meth or something like that? He's still got a ministry, by the way. I'm just saying. Or when Bush, pushed through the Patriot Act. Well, I mean, nobody wanted Islamic terrorists to blow up buildings, but the Patriot Act didn't really address it. It was basically pig in a pokery. And it looks like that's what's happening here. It looks like, in fact, I think there was a report earlier that they were preventing members of parliament from actually being able to enter the building. This looks much more like a power play than anything else. In fact, it could rise to the level of being an outright fucking coup, in which a dominant political power, we've seen this before, like the 2020 election, a dominant political power brings up a foreign adversary, Russia, and then uses that as an excuse to censor, to fuck around with the legislative process, or to screw with people in general. I think that that's what we're seeing here. I don't think that it has any legitimacy whatsoever. I mean, I'm not a fan of communism. You may have noticed this again. And I'm certainly not a fan of Kim Jong-un, although I'm sure North Korean cuisine, mulch smoothies mainly, is delicious. But that being said, it doesn't mean that the South Korean government, at the executive level, declaring martial law actually makes any sort of sense. All right, on Rumble, I am going to start having to mute people or something like that if you continue to spam that much. If you just want to post a string of emojis a couple of times, I don't have a problem with that, but Christ, I mean, I can only do, I don't moderate my chat, so, you gotta help me out, dude. Wolf, hey Sticks, I have something I wanted to send to you. What's the best way to get in touch so I can get an address? DMing me on Twitter at Sticks666official. TG Bar, Sticks, what's your take on the situation in Syria and the Syria-Russia-Turkey triangle? I think the Syrians and the Russians are capable of handling the situation. I hope they do, because some of those rebels, you got to realize, are Islamo-fascists. Better the devil you know. I'm not a fan of Assad either, but at the same time, we saw what happened in Libya with Gaddafi. Gaddafi was a bad hombre, as Trump would label him. What happened when Gaddafi was gone? Well, now the country has collapsed to the point where it basically doesn't exist. Sidebook VR. Rumor was in Korea over the past year, the government was waiting Washington to give a go-ahead for martial law. Seems Biden said go. Yeah, what coincidental timing, by the way. Right as his administration ends. I believe that, by the way. I think Biden had something to do with what's fucking going on there. R.T. Huxley. We are living in America. It's wunderbar. I think you're referring to a song. That sparks a memory. I'm not sure exactly which one it is. Inland Surfer. Trump needs to go full Teddy Roosevelt. Halfway there after Butlertown. Bully. Yeah, he gets shot, and the first thing he does is say, fuck you, basically. Oh, by the way, there is news. I haven't docketed it, so it's not linked in the description or anything like that, but there's a man in Weston, Vermont, and apparently the local authorities won't let him relocate his factory. So he erected a 16-foot pole. I posted this on Twitter, and he put like a 7-foot tall, middle finger up on top of it, and it's fully lit and everything, so you can see it at night. And because Vermont is fairly lenient when it comes to such things, depending on the height of the object, There is literally nothing they can do about it. Vermonters do it better. I remember that one Rammstein. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yes, yes, yes. Rammstein. Didn't that dude get Me Too'd? The lead singer of Rammstein. I think he got Me Too'd. Didn't that kind of fall through? Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, with Vermont, there was a study, I've mentioned it a couple times before, of shit posting online, trolling, shit posting, cyberbullying and stuff. And apparently we Vermonters are number one on that list when it comes to per capita shit posting. So I'm just a normal Vermonter. Just think about how weird the abnormal ones must be. Not just a string. Sorry for the emoji spam. We miss spamming down the spammers seemingly missing since the election. Also waiting for Bitcoin 100K still. Clank. I think it's stalled out for a little while. Rammstein, it doesn't matter. I have been to Germany a couple of times. I didn't really enjoy it, actually. One of the first things I see is the Antifa tea room. Everyone's all cold and looks miserable and stuff. Some hot gals over there, but if you want that and you want them to actually be friendly, you should probably just go to the goddamn Netherlands. You're walking down the street in Germany, right? I'm deviating off the news cycle at this point and just doing bants. And it's weird. Like in the Netherlands, people are very, very respectful towards one another. So, if you're going down the road and a little old lady comes along, you move to the side or something like that. I mean, I do that as a New Englander. You go to Germany, and especially young females, the ones that look like they just, spent $5,000 shopping for clothing, they'll just hustle past you. They'll literally just nudge you out of the way and shit like that. It's completely different. It's funny because you can travel 10 minutes and you get a completely different culture. I can understand why the Germans and the Dutch don't really get along. I happen to be Team Netherlands on that one. Yeah, Dutch women, yeah. Just saying, Refocus. You are correct. Yeah. I speak a little bit of Dutch, but most of the German things that I can say have to do with Adolf Hitler, so. Then I remember when the Nazi national anthem was still on YouTube and wasn't, paywalled, basically. Benyam Alameu, who I see sticks in there, but I don't know what the rest of that says. That's some sort of weird text. Sticks. I know that it's decipherable, but yeah, my dude. Jesus. The Grizzly. If Trump annexed Canada, should we annex Mexico? Ooh, go full Fallout timeliness, and start building vaults across America. Tasmanaut. No, Dutch people aren't rude. God damn, don't ever come to New England if you think that the Dutch are rude. Anyways, we'll talk about the annexation of Canada. Trump hosted Trudeau at the Mar-a-Lago. And apparently he made an offhand joke that if Canada couldn't pay, the tariffs that were going to be put on Canada, which he has proposed, as well as for Mexico, that the U.S. could also just annex Canada. Then you don't have to pay a tariff because you're part of the same country. This is not legally possible, at least under the current framework of Canada, because it's part of the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth. But if that were dissolved, yeah, you could grab up Canada. Trump has also optioned this for Greenland, among other things. He's also said take the oil and stuff like that. I actually support this, though. If the United States and Canada ever joined forces, I believe it would become larger than Russia, if I remember correctly. It would contain about half of the world's fresh water supply. It would have a limitless resource of energy, lumber, basically every basic good under the sun. Canada, due to so-called climate change, is becoming more arable, so it would probably form the greatest agricultural conglomerate you can possibly imagine. In fact, you might end up being a victim of your own success. The wealth of resources and the relatively low population density would lead to a situation where you would literally have to let things go fallow in order to not fuck with your own economy. I support it. I do believe in that fallout timeline. I agree with you. I think that Trump should option the annexation of Canada. Is this realistic? No, unfortunately. Is it possible? Yeah, absolutely. We can annex. I mean, we could win without firing a shot because the Mounties would just throw up their hands immediately. Why don't we just invade Canada? I mean, we invade every other country in the world. Why not just fucking take them over? I have a feeling that most Canadian citizens wouldn't have a problem with this, by the way. The Quebecois might, because they prefer to speak French and, wine total as opposed to throwing back their Pabst Blue Ribbon. But other than that, I think that we could take over Canada, yeah. I have a feeling that'd be a good idea. Lemon Curd, gotta go, Sticks. See you later. Bye, Lemon Curd. Yeah, why don't we tariff Canada to the point where their economy can no longer function, and then just say, look, we'll sweeten the deal. We'll buy your country. We can just print the money anyway. It doesn't really make a difference now, does it? The real problem is figuring out, like, let's say you did annex Canada. How do you divide it up into states? At first, it would be a territorial system, I suppose. And then they would have to apply to Congress to become states. This would become a partisan shit show, by the way, which is hysterical. You could do it, though. If you wanted to keep the flag even, if you admitted Canada and let's say like Guam or Puerto Rico at the same time, I think you'd still have an even number of stars on the flag, too. That'd be pretty fun. Heater. Fuck you, Sticks. Our economy is fucked enough. No, it would improve the economy because Canada has a shit ton of resources, but very low population density. It's also enormously vast. If you controlled that proportion of the world's clean, fresh water supply, that's probably one of the most important resources you can possibly have at this point. Everyone needs to drink water. It's, kind of necessary. You'd have an infinite supply of lumber. You'd have a shit ton more tourism too, and you would have congealed basically most of North America under one particular rulership. So yeah, I think that it's a good idea. I think that Donald Trump should go and stage like a palace coup sort of thing, overrun Trudeau. Again, the war would last maybe 2 days. I can't imagine much of the Canadian military would even bother to mobilize at that point. It sounds good to me. Then we only have one border to defend too. You no longer have a northern border. Well, that makes sense. And it benefits the Canadians too. I mean, all of a sudden you'd have a Second Amendment and shit like that. The ability to speak freely, generally, within whatever reason the liberals determine at any given time, which is sad. Let's see. Laszlo, hi Sticks, message from Belgium here. Wish we were still part of Holland, though. Yes, the Benelux states. Question, how do you reckon Trump will sort the Ukraine-Zelensky situation? I talked about that the other day. I have a feeling he's going to try to broker a deal. He will get blamed by the liberals for being a Russian agent for doing so. Pragmatically on the ground, Ukraine is going to have to at least temporarily cede land, and I imagine that acknowledging Russian control of Crimea would be part of it as well. The rest of Ukraine joins NATO, and then it can never really happen again. I see this as good for the Western world, by the way. You've expanded the front of NATO. You've eliminated the last country that can reasonably be invaded by Russia by not being part of NATO, while simply ceding a chunk of land that largely speaks Russian anyway. This would be a sensible negotiation. Ultimately, though, it'll be between the Ukrainians and the Russians to sort it out. Trump is likely to do what he tried to do with Korea. He gets the ball rolling, does the camaraderie thing, and then he lets the other parties that are actually involved sort it out themselves. And it would have worked had Trump, not been knocked out of the White House by somebody who was merely selected rather than elected. Helios ending. I'd like to coin the term ITD, intellectually transmitted disease, pertaining to the spread of bad ideas, e.g. woke practices, communism, etc. Interesting. I believe that would technically fall under the umbrella of memetics, though. Just because the idea is mimetic doesn't mean that it's a good one. All right, let's get to Biden's pardon. We've got to do, also, we're on Daniel Penny watch right now. We'll make sure that that's up in case we have breaking news. Their closing arguments are done. We're just waiting to see. It could take several days to get a verdict. Daniel Penny is clearly innocent of any wrongdoing. He attempted to defend people on a crowded train, including a young mother with a child, against somebody who is clearly fried out of their mind and going fucking crazy. My worry, there's a chance that they find him not guilty. My worry is that they're going to find him guilty for racial reasons, though, honestly, because he's white and the person who died happens to be black. And unfortunately, that is sometimes the way the justice system works. 22nd Nomad, why would the Russians agree to such a deal? Because they can't really push forever into Ukraine. Eventually, they run low on, manpower and munitions as well. And so it sort of fights to a stalemate. Clearly, they've overrun several provinces. So then, effectively, what you do is you have a ceasefire. Rest of Ukraine joins NATO because there's now a ceasefire. The Russians maintain those provinces. But there's an understanding that there will be future negotiations with regards to that land. Neither Russia nor Ukraine can expect to get all of what it wants because the two combatants, unless there's a nuclear war, are incapable fundamentally of going beyond stalemate mode. The Russians have failed to push further. The Ukrainians have failed to push them back. So you're going to have a negotiation. It would definitely include Ukraine acknowledging Russian control over Crimea, though, and officially absolving itself of any further responsibility there. That would definitely be part of such a peace deal, I guarantee you. Yeah, Biden pardoning his son isn't going over so well. Trump is capitalizing on it, and, that was fully expected. Liberal commentators aren't too happy about it, not for the right reason. Shouldn't be happy about it because it's nepotism. The reason that they're pissed off about it is because Trump is able to capitalize upon it. He's gaining political leverage simply because of this pardon. As I explained the other day, I don't mind pardoning Hunter Biden for the tax and gun-related shit. Doesn't mean anything. But the reason for the pardon was simply to cover for Joe Biden. Has nothing to do with Hunter and the cases against him. He could have litigated them into oblivion anyway. He has limitless resources behind him. Joe Biden just doesn't want the Burisma shit to end up getting testified about because he's afraid that he's going to get in trouble. Or that his associates that have helped make him rich would get in trouble. That would be a little bit problematic. Hell, maybe there was some sort of contractual rider over there with Burisma that this sort of thing would be a thing. 22nd Nomad, the Russians are engaging in Clausewitz warfare, destroying the military to then advance forward. Yeah, no, they can't really advance. That's the thing. They would have done so by now because they have considerably higher manpower. They also have air superiority. The Ukrainians are holding their own. So what's going to happen, if I had to imagine what the final end deal would be? Ukraine in NATO relinquishes Crimea, probably relinquishes Donbass, gains back the rest of its territory. There's some sort of further settlement, probably of a financial nature. Could involve demilitarizing the border. By the way, that'll become a problem decades later when it's inevitably remilitarized. No, Dave is correct. Yes, the Russians were completely reliant upon the United States manufacturing muscle in World War II. When the war began, they were fighting with biplanes. They were fighting with things that were made in World War I, effectively. The United States shipped thousands and thousands of tanks and trucks, loads of fuel, loads of food, huge amounts of money, weapons, etc., to Russia because we wanted to open up a second front. Until then, the Russians were having some real big problems. Under Lend-Lease, though, once that began, then once you have a two-front war, things started going a little bit better. Personally, I probably wouldn't have engaged in Lend-Lease. I would have pressured the Germans from the other side. Of course, the United States was not involved in the war at all until Pearl Harbor, and that should have been the primary focus. the United States should never have engaged in such behavior, because the problem is, okay, well, you've gotten rid of the Nazis now, they're gone, but now you've got communism, and you enter the Cold War. And while I love the sci-fi of the Cold War and all the crazy military movies and all of those other wonderful things, and, you know, Ma and Pa with the picket fence because we're Christians and they're atheists and all of that other symbolic bullshit, while it's rather cozy, and Burl Ives narrating Christmas movies. By the way, he was investigated as a potential communist at one point. He threw several people under the bus to avoid that. Otherwise, we wouldn't literally have the all-American Christmas movies. While I enjoy that, it was the wrong decision. We should have gone along with Patton, and there's a reason why he was assassinated, and he was. He was assassinated because he wanted to push further into Russia, push the Soviets back into their prior territory, get him out of Eastern Europe, and he would have been elected president. And the deep state didn't like him. In that sense, Donald Trump is a little bit like fucking Patton. Just saying. Without the military experience. 22nd Nomad, the Ukraine NATO stockpiled weapons are running out. That's why they couldn't advance. Yeah, neither Ukraine nor Russia is going to be able to advance, conceivably. It's at this point, it's probably not possible. Both sides are conscripting people that are, in some cases, barely fit to fight. Munitions are running low on both sides. The West is engaging in drone warfare, mainly. The aquatic drones are pretty impressive, but the Russians have the air superiority. I can't see either side particularly advancing very far. F. Winters Loading, Trump Jr. said Trump might open the press room to podcast an independent host like Joe Rogan and maybe yourself. Does this happen? He did it before. I remember Lauren Southern briefly had a press pass. I don't think that they're going to get me on the press corps, nor would I want the job, because then I'd have to travel to Washington, D.C. No, thank you. If I'm going to go to a city, it's going to be to a city that's reasonably respectable. So I'll go to like Tokyo or something like that. I don't want to see DC. Being in DC briefly when I went on Timcast was enough for me. It's not a very pleasant city. I mean, I'm sure that the mall looks really, really nice. I didn't get to visit that. But most of the city is kind of dilapidated, actually. The funny thing is, when DC was first incepted, they imagined it as being like a mega city, like basically like New York City or something like that. Never really materialized, did it? Let's get to our sponsors before we get to the rest of the news. We're going to talk about ActBlue and Bruce Willis and a few other things. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get delicious mushroom pills. They are apparently neuroregenerative. They appear to be biologically regenerative. I take one every morning. Various varieties are available there. We have pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, engraved spoons. Of course, you've got to clank along, so you need an Ouroboros spoon for yourself, glassware, and much, much more. BiltongUSA.com. Anton can hook you up with all sorts of goods. He's based in Roanoke, Texas, and he sells biltong. Biltong is, I guess, a brined, air-dried kind of, it's a little bit like jerky, but it's better. It's a lot less tough and chewy. Great in soups, by the way. Also, we got Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available there as well. We have wickedneedleembroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Stick, Sex, and Hammer hats. Several colors and varieties are available. I think most people like the offset Ouroboros. The central one's a little smaller, and it says, Stick, Sex, and Hammer 666. So those are pretty cool. I've got several of them. You should too. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com, where you can get a seed survival bucket. Also, you can get Sticks, Hex, and Hammer branded soap. We got two kinds. We've got the clove, cedar, and I can't remember the third. The clove, cedar, and blueberry one. That's the blue bar, which blends in perfectly with the tray that I've got in the shower, and I'm still using that one last bar. I'm going to need some more. And then the pink bar has lavender and marjoram. We've got websterswares.com/sticks-wares, where also they, I believe, as of today, are still having their Black Friday deal. I think 30% off with code STICKS, if I remember correctly. And you can get Trump merchandise. We've also got blades. We've got metal straws. Various things are available there. Beanies, an homage to Tim Pool. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is Jamn bean.com. But they have more than just coffee beans, dude. They've also got a lot of teas. I would recommend some of the Healer. Also, the I think it's called Yunnan Jin. It's like a black tea. It tastes like a better version of everything that you had at the Chinese restaurant as a kid. I think it's the same thing, but higher quality. It's pretty great shit. I see Cultivated and Biltong are both there. Biltong is like prosciutto, but made from beef. It's delicious, too. I still haven't tried that ginger that Anton made. He has this like cured ginger, actually. I haven't tried it yet. I'm assuming it's the sort of thing that you chop up fine and put in like maybe rice or something like that. Sounds good to me, my dude. I like exotic foods. Soleil333, South Korean parliament voted 190-0 to end the martial law. It's probably over already. Interesting. So I guess we have breaking news. 22nd Nomad, Russia has plenty of weapon stocks. Ukraine doesn't. That's why the West talks of freezing the war. Well, I mean, Putin seems receptive to it as well. The incoming U.S. administration could easily remilitarize our actual military because under Donald Trump, people are more likely to actually support such a thing. Mr. Baker, whose channel are you debating that drunk hypocrite Andrew Wilson on? I haven't met the dude, so I'm not going to insult him. So, yeah, don't do that. It's on iHypocrite's channel. Don't worry. Definitely, I'll get the link for you. I believe that's tomorrow, if I remember correctly, on the 4th. Or was it today, actually? Let me check my DMs. That could be a little bit of a problem. If the DMs load, of course. There's not necessarily any guarantee that that happens at any given time. When did we agree on? Okay, let me see. Okay, it is tomorrow. Yes, excellent. Yes, it should be 4 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. I'll be debating him over on iHypocrite's channel. Should probably link that channel. LP Original G. Yeah, let me get his YouTube link, and I'll just pop that in. I don't know. I like occasionally I like debating. Here, I'm popping that in. That's his channel. On Rumble, I posted that. I'll post it over here on YouTube. Okay, so that's his channel. Can't post comments to some destinations. I'm assuming that's Twitter. F100's Lodig, who are your top 5 favorite Trump nominees? Tulsi's my favorite. Zeldin would be on there. I have no problem with Hegseth. I think that he's all right. Of course, Patel. He would be high on that list. Who would be number 5? Let's see. Gnome is good. It's just Gnome got derpy, and her problem is that she put out her autobiography and talked about fucking shooting her dog and weird shit like that. Doesn't make her a bad person. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Our resident zombie is here. He's woken up after his Thanksgiving food coma. Bretling, I like Brittany Venti. I have no opinion on Andrew Wilson. I don't know who he is. Judge enforces subpoena against ActBlue, opening new front in Democrat fundraising probe. Yes, indeed. For the first time, a Wisconsin court has approved a subpoena to the massive Democrat fundraising platform ActBlue, saying it owes an explanation to a Republican whose email identity was used to make liberal donations he did not authorize. Something is not right. Waukesha County, you've probably heard of Waukesha for good reasons before. Circuit Court Judge Brad D. Schimmel declared as he approved a limited demand for documents and opened a new front into a widening fundraising probe begun earlier this year by Congress and 19 attorney generals. Schimmel rejected ActBlue's arguments that it was onerous to require it to comply a subpoena for third-party donations it processed on its platform. The judge permitted GOP consultant Mark Block and his lawyers from American First Policy Institute to conduct discovery to determine if fraud was involved in the use of his identity. Pro tip, it probably was. To make dozens of Democrat donations on his old email address. I get the argument that this is an assumption on plaintiff's part that the donations are fraudulent, the judge stated on a hearing November 21st. There may be an element of fraud, or maybe it is innocent. Plaintiff has set forth enough in their complaint and in support of their subpoena to demonstrate that there may be something here. And they've got the actual PDF transcript, link in the description, again, archived, of course. So Act Blue might be in some shit. To be clear about what Act Blue is, it's effectively a bundler for Democratic Party donations. Most of the candidates and state parties and shit that get money from them are Democrats. And I believe, at least at last check, I think they were the largest donator when you include the bundling. So this is fairly significant because this is like the lifeblood of the entire Democratic Party. If they get fucked, the Democrats all of a sudden are going to lose out on hundreds and millions of dollars, in fact, possibly billions of dollars in donations, which right now, considering how fucked up the Democratic Party is, it's probably a good thing. Keep in mind, as a non-Republican, non-conservative, there is no guarantee that the next presidential nominee for the Republican Party is even worth voting for. I suspect it'll be J.D. Vance because he's Trump's VP. But we're not 100% sure. It could be, a dead dog for all I know. I think I'd vote for Vance. If it was like Tulsi, I'd definitely vote for her, somebody like that. But if they give me like another Bush, I can't really vote for the Democrats right now. I wouldn't be able to vote for the GOP. I guess I'd vote for fucking Mickey Mouse. Cat cans. Watch Andrew and Matt Dillahunty debate for like 8 minutes before Andrew makes Matt rage quit. Lol. That sounds funny, actually. Bruce Flash, saw your J6 video. What are your opinions on pardoning the Proud Boy members who got 15-plus year sentences? Seems they were overcharged to me. That's the problem. Doing something that is actually legit worth punishing, but if you pardon them, then all of the punishment goes away. I would look into the case if I were Trump. That's what I suggested earlier. Go through on a case-by-case basis for everyone involved with J6. And figure out sort of who you want to pardon, who you don't. Draft it all up before you get into office and simply sign the paper the second your inauguration is done. In fact, you could literally do it on the inaugural stage the second that you take the oath of office. Based Acid Fox. Girl Scouts knocked on my door. I gave them a how-to book on bestiality. I strongly doubt that you actually did that. I'm pretty sure it'd be illegal. Unless they were like college-age Girl Scouts or something. Wasted Bonehead Sticks. Do you think Trump will go to Israel, or do you think he'll manage to create a ceasefire without it? I see way too many libertarians screeching because of his posturing. He's unabashedly pro-Israel. That much has been made clear. This was, by the way, a boon to him during the election. I myself am ambivalent. I don't care what happens in the Levant region particularly. I think that Trump is likely to try to broker a ceasefire there too. I think peace is going to break out all over the world again, and Trump's going to get the blame for being a Russian agent for having done so. Trump hates Palestinians. Trump hates Ukrainians. Trump is an agent of the DPRK. We've already seen this before. I mean, he already had an administration. We saw how they reacted to peace breaking out. They were livid over it. Cultivated Mind, our Shaga, Lion's Mane, and Cocoa is live on the site, cultivated-mind.com. Medicinal and delicious. Don't forget code STICKS. We had a bit of shipping delay, but yours is on the way, Tarl. I can't wait for it. Sounds fun. 20-second Nomad. Putin only talks peace to placate allies, dude. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I mean, they can't fight forever. Not physically possible. We're still on Daniel Penny watch, by the way. I don't think we're going to get a verdict today, but we did get the closing arguments. I think the jury's already in session for his particular case, I think. Oh, for the love of God. Give me news from the last hour. None of that other stuff is even relevant. Can Donald Trump pardon Daniel Penny? No, I don't think he can. I think those are state charges, so I don't think he can. You should definitely push for the governor to pardon him if he gets found guilty. Now I want to talk about Bruce Willis, and I've addressed this before. Bruce Willis, you may know him from such great movies as Fifth Element and Die Hard. In other words, he was in one of the best Christmas movies and one of the best comedies ever made. Talented guy. Also in Pulp Fiction and things like that, but nobody gives a fuck about that. He's got dementia. I can't remember exactly the form of dementia that he has, but you know, he's wasting away basically. For some inexplicable reason, they keep trotting him out into public. Like they got these fucking Thanksgiving photos of him and shit like that. And it's like, okay, I understand, you know, you want to be around your family, they want to be around you and stuff. Why do you need to take pictures of your demented relative and put them online? I just don't get it. I realize maybe it's just on the familial side. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it just seems ghoulish to me. Like if I ever get demented, like if I ever, my mind starts frying out completely. I mean, more than it already has, but it's dementia related. If my family or friends or something were to take a bunch of pictures of me and like put them on Instagram, which won't exist by the time I'm old enough to have dementia probably, but whatever doppelganger exists at the time because people are egotistical fuckwads, I would be livid, actually. Now, Willis, I believe, sort of told him beforehand, you know, basically, hey, use my brand, make as much money as you fucking can because I'm not going to be around much longer. But why? Why that particular line of reasoning? Why post a bunch of photos of him, you know, looking, he's not the same Bruce Willis he was 20 years ago online and stuff. It must be sad for him. By the way, officially, Clankdom declares Die Hard a Christmas movie. Officially, it is a Christmas movie. I just think that it's ghoulish. I think that it's wrong. I mean, even if he told you beforehand, hey, this is okay, he's no longer capable of continuing to consent to that sort of behavior, and you're kind of violating the NAP in a roundabout way. Like when I'm dead, I do not care if my loved ones use my name and shit like that, like my brand. I don't. In fact, I encourage it. But don't post pictures of me at the Thanksgiving table looking old and haggard and sad. Please don't do that. Neurodivergent, I believe the code was Stix10. I think. King of Biltong needs some healthy, high-protein stocking stuffers this festive season? Send your loved ones some from biltongusa.com. We will ship it door to door. Get a 10% discount when using code STIX10. Yes, I was correct. STIX10. Yeah, Bruce Willis is a cool dude. He got some qualms about maybe elements of his personality, but overall, I mean, he's a good actor. Give him fucking credit where credit is fucking due. Sort of like looking at Annie Lennox. She's a third wave feminist wearing the AIDS blood shirt, but she's still a very talented vocalist, for example. But it doesn't matter who it is. If somebody has dementia, you shouldn't be posting pictures of them online. If you want to use their brand or something, they've explicitly told you before they considerably decline. For example, if my daughter wants to use the Ouroboros logo, 50 years from now, I don't give a shit. That's perfectly fine. Go ahead. Make them ducats, But I don't want pictures of me, looking like Jimmy Carter circulating on whatever replaces the internet. Yeah. I didn't like Pulp Fiction that much, Cat Cans. I wasn't a huge fan. It was all right. I mean, there were elements of the movie that were hysterical, but wasn't a huge fan of that. I think Bruce Willis' best performance is from Fifth Element. That was one of my favorite movies of all time. I've probably watched it 20 times, especially when I was younger because you get to see titties, but, it's just the way that it is, when you're like 13 years old. Yeah. That was a good one, and then Die Hard, really. I realized that Die Hard, it might be like a basic bitch, like hipsters, typical like, I love Die Hard or something like that. But yeah. Members only. Carter the corpse. Yeah, the dude, I mean, he can barely even wake up at this point. They shouldn't be posting pictures of him. Like, they had him at that celebration. He's literally, I mean, he's 100 goddamn years old. Leave the man alone. At the very least, with Jimmy Carter, you can say, okay, well, he was an elected official and shit like that. So it's for the historical, national archival purposes or something. Bruce Willis is just a private citizen. Wasted Bonehead. Bruce Willis with hair is the most off-putting part of Die Hard. Can't just be me, right? By the way, there was a almost Bruce Willis lookalike in the series Babylon 5 who played security officer Garibaldi, which is a very mimetic name, Garibaldi. John Quarles, the left argues that Trump pardoning Charles Kushner was nepotism, but Hunter wasn't even sentenced yet. These things are not the same. Bromian, do you like the Beatles song Glass Onion? Yes, very much. Yeah, I like the Beatles. I know that it's a hipster sort of thing to declare that you don't like the Beatles. Oh, they're overrated and stuff. No. The Beatles are pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're getting anything from Penny. If we do, it'll probably be this evening. I can't imagine. They're not going to return a verdict this quick. I don't even know if they're deliberating yet. They did the closing arguments. I'm assuming they've been sequestered. I mean, if it's a quick verdict, he probably is found not guilty, actually. Homo julensis, possible new ancient human species uncovered by researchers. A University of Hawaii researcher says he may have found a new human species called Homo julensis, which includes mysterious groups like the Denisovans, ancient human relatives whose histories are still being uncovered. By the way, this is in Indonesia, I believe. This would be about 300,000 years ago. In Eastern Asia, hunted wild horses in small groups and made stone tools, possibly possessed animal hides for survival before disappearing around 50,000 years ago. It's proposed that the new species include the enigmatic Denisovans, a population known primarily through DNA evidence from a few physical remains found in Siberia and a few fossils found in Tibet and Laos. More research is needed to test the relationship, which is primarily based on similarities between jaw and teeth fossils from the different sites. Now, I have a problem with looking at sparse archaeological remains and deriving significant conclusions from them. For example, let's say that I die. The fact that my jaw may look topically similar to someone who lived 500,000 years ago doesn't necessitate that we're necessarily the same thing. I think that there's a deep flaw within archaeology, actually, with regards to human remains. Too much inference is made on too little evidence, for example. Like you have Homo chidensis. That's 4 million years ago, if I remember correctly, or thereabouts. We're not even sure that that was necessarily a hominid. It could be some sort of ape or something like that. It's not exactly sure in some cases. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about that. It is fascinating. I mean, if they do determine that there was a new hominid lineage of sorts hundreds of thousands of years ago, that's pretty cool. BWG, I wonder what that verdict will be. Actually, jury's still out, quite literally. I worry that they're going to find him guilty based on the color of his skin. That being said, if they find him not guilty, there will probably be race riots. So you never know. Kind of a no-win situation. Imagine having to be on that fucking jury. Imagine you got two relatives, like two brothers or something. They both get called up for jury duty. One of them is like, okay, it's a cut and dry theft case, something like that. And it's like, okay, I'm guilty or something. The other one gets like a race riot triggering trial or something like that. And he's like, God damn it, can't we switch roles? That would be funny. Kraken Joker, you don't like the YMCA song? It may be the gayest song ever created, but it's still good. One hell of a banger. What was your favorite YMCA member? I thought the cop looked the coolest, just because it's kind of semi-gothy, I guess, although it's a little bit bondage-looking as well. King of Biltong wanted to mention with the de-banking BS, look at Old Glory Bank in Oklahoma. They were one of the few banks that were willing to work with us. Give them a shout-out if you're looking for an alternative bank. Old Glory Bank in Oklahoma. Sounds good. Yeater Theater. Yeah, the YMCA song is pretty much a gay anthem when you look at the lyrics. I don't know if the members themselves were gay. I haven't really looked into it. I just know I like the song. Music and fiction. YMCA is not the gayest song ever created. That honor belongs to anything by Ed Sheeran. Or that one song, You're Beautiful, It's True. I can't remember the rest of the lyrics, but they played it. Was that by Bublé? I can't remember. They play it fucking constantly in the goddamn stores for years, and I couldn't get away from it. Especially dollar stores and shit like that. My mom drags me to the dollar store and I'm listening to this fucking emo music, this fucking horse shit. And it was the most frustrating thing I can think of. I would rather go back to jail. And I'm being honest. Oh, James Blunt, yeah. No, that song, oh God. I think, didn't he disown his own song or something like that? And now he basically makes troll posts. And self-deprecate. At the very least, he's capable of self-deprecation. I think it was him. Yeah, I think it's him. I Think You Freaky. Isn't that by D'Antwerp, actually? I'm probably mispronouncing it. D'Antwerp. I actually like their music. BW, I hope he appeals to the Supreme Court. New York is corrupt. John Quarles, you should put spoon and helmet on. There's supposed to be an alien invasion today. Oh, God, I've heard that bullshit conspiracy nonsense. The Sumerian Sticks, I'd like to die hard. Wasted Bonehead, if there are race riots, will it hurt the left? No, because people will just sit back and watch the show. It would only happen in New York anyway, probably. Take my whole life too. I actually like that. So I do like some sappy music, but yeah, no. Mostly, if I'm going to listen to sappy music, it's going to be the old shit. I don't know. I'd rather listen to fucking Christmas music. I'd rather listen to that one bitch that sang that famous Christmas song. Can't remember. Was it Shania Twain or something like that? BW, Roman the Macarena. It was the original plague. I actually like the Macarena. It's just that they played it too much. Romian, do you think the Rolling Stones copied the Beatles' album Sgt. Pepper? I don't know. The Stones are all right, though. Sympathy for the Devil, one of the greatest songs ever made, actually. Sigil Stone, race right in the graveyard tonight. We're burning mausoleums. Undead, unlives don't matter. When you're dead, you're all white, powdered bones anyway, you know. Elvis died after discovering deep-fried foods. Babe. Got one of them peanut butter and banana sandwiches, man. Watch the Sasso impersonation of Elvis from Mad TV if you want to howl with laughter. Yeah, he saw your face in a crowded place. Yeah, one of the sappiest goddamn songs. So fucking goddamn annoying. Hated it. What's my favorite Christmas song? I would say Wham's Christmas song is the best. I mean, of the commercialized ones. Last Christmas, You Gave Me My Heart. Was it Very Next Day You Threw It Away? Also, the lyrics are highly exploitable for satirical purposes. Okay, now we've devolved into talking about random songs. Boromir, yes. Will Sasso is an absolute comedic gem. They should have given him like a stand-up, I mean, not a stand-up, but like a fucking talk show where he could interview people or something. That would have been funny. Yeah, we've devolved into bants at this point. No, I'm just having fun for a few minutes. I will wrap it up. Please don't send any more super chats. I'm just going to respond to a few more comments here and have a little fun. Got other things that I have to do later, though. Lots of them, too. Trust me. Ugh. Yeah, Last Christmas by Wham, I would say, of the commercialized sort of, the music that made it onto the charts and was overplayed. That's one of the few that's listenable. Cat Cans, that is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. LP Original G. Maybe it's cold outside. Bromian, do you think George Michael was gay? He never really confirmed or denied his sexual proclivities. I assume that he was bi, actually. Yeah, I don't think that he was. It's sort of like Freddie Mercury. He never really fully addressed it either. Everyone speculated that he was a homosexual, but I think that he was bisexual, actually. Or at least biromantic or something like that. I mean, you'd think George Michael, when he was younger, he looked more like the ladies' man, all made up and shit like that. Sertorius, that is actually not true. Rod Stewart did not need to have his stomach pumped after sucking dicks from people who were snorting coke. That is a myth. That's been debunked. Copium Poppies says poop. Goodness. Yeah, the Rod Stewart story. I'm not a huge Rod Stewart fan. I find his voice to be too raspy. Like, he sounds like he's got fucking emphysema and always did. Like, even when he was young. Okay. King of Biltong. I wanted to post a rant, but my PC is disconnected. Sticks, please shout out our channel, Eat at Anton's, for some awesome cooking and banter. Join us Fridays and Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. Cool. Any song from the White Power Christmas album? There was one song. I have a feeling, by the way, that I know this individual, not personally, but that I've spoken to them online. It was called Culture Side. And there were deliberately poorly made, disjointed lyrics and stuff. And they had a Christmas song. Let me look that up before I go offline. It was Culture Side. Culture Side. Depressed Christmas by Culture Side. And I'm 99% sure I know exactly who sang this and that they're fairly well known online, actually. I haven't confronted them over this, but I'm pretty sure. Also, I believe I know who the Max Headroom pirate was. I'm pretty sure it's a fairly popular content creator, actually. The timeline syncs up perfectly, and there are other reasons to believe it. Even the voice syncs up a little bit, but I'm not going to name who it is because that's a federal crime, so... Snitches get stitches, I'm 99% sure about both. Copium Poppies, where's the Mark Hamill glove? Right here, of course. Sometimes you want a glove, sometimes you don't. That commercial never really appealed to me because I always feel like a nut. I think most people would agree. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. And I'll be back tomorrow with more news, I believe. And then I've got the debate again at 4. I've got quartering, the quartercast at 1, my live stream at 11. So tomorrow is going to be yet another busy day. Yeah, today will be physically busy. I mean, in the real world. Tomorrow we'll be very digitally busy. Yes, the Max Headroom pirating incident was from, if I remember correctly, the late 80s. And it was the overriding of a broadcast by someone who had the technological capability to do so. I have a feeling I know who did it. And it happens to be someone that I've personally spoken with. Not in real life, but digitally. I'm pretty sure that I know who it is. But again, I will not throw them under the bus. Statute of limitations on that's probably over anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That's about all. Peace out.